because you want to set up decent on second. Otherwise, you're going to be all the way pushed back to last.
There's definitely a distinct difference between losing on first in a good way and losing on first in a bad way. The worst thing that can happen is that you try and stall out first, get clobbered, don't get much in the way of delay, and then the other team is able to set up on hanger phase and just ruin your life. So you want to avoid that. It's one of those cases where it's much better to die cleanly, die perhaps a little bit in front, make the payload wait a little bit to go in, and that way you have a little bit of breathing room for second. But Hex, what are we seeing right now coming out here from the FNRGFE defense?
Looks like they want to do a two-fight style of defense, where they're going to fight up here and try to get aggressive. A lot of this always will rely on your Tracer. Can your Tracer get some work done early, or does she get picked off early? Then you would retreat. That's going to be clockwork. But you do have the chance to retreat. So you will have a fight here and then a fight at last. The fight at last, or last point before first is captured, is not always ideal, but you will have another chance to fight.
Hex, quick question here before we go in. Team Liquid, they're very good at executing with Nanoblade. Dahang's nano boost on the Shatter, Shatter's execution, devastating. Right. How does FNRGFE play around this in this case?
Well, you hope Bandy can hit his sleep darts. That's really the only great counter to a Nanoblade in it of itself. So early on, Rafa just going to be looking for picks here. He, of course, if he does not find anything, will very likely be going back to the Lucio if they need it. But so far, it's done enough pressure that they're going to have to retreat. Not able to fight on first, but that means they're going to be able to fight better on to the second pickup.
Every part of Team Liquid on fire here. Rafa getting a pick off, AZK going into a backline, and it's Rafa of all people here on the Widowmaker. Not the most common of swaps to see your Lucio player go on the Widow, but Rafa making it work out because, well, he does have a bit of an FPS game pedigree.
I was gonna say, Rafa's not the most common of Lucios, though, too. I mean,
no, definitely not.
He is a world champion Quake player, so his tracking and reactions are not bad, so to speak. So he will eventually get off of it onto that Lucio, but they opened up all the space they needed, made that very first point hold non-existent. So now you see a more traditional defense, but set up over top on the 76. They will dive to the upper left instead, bullying out the supports in that corner.
And this is nice tank play coming out from Liquid. It's good stuff from both Mezar and Fury, controlling space, but Dahang is under pressure again into the backline. Clockwork continuing the bullying, and FNRGFE finding a way through and reversing the momentum here against Team Liquid.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good answer here. AZK is trying to get a little bit of work done. Meanwhile, Shatter has taken down Clockwork, so equalizing the fight just a little bit here. Shatter finds himself being pushed out in this corner. No real escape. There's a Winston there, and he's just going to get Primal Raged and popped as well. As the fight's going on all over the place right now. Shatter's in a bad spot over here.
Not only is he in a bad spot, but it's taking a while for Team Liquid to lose this fight. Please throw yourself on the edge, get out of it. Do not throw any more good after the bad. They are finally able to disengage, but that is big for FNRGFE. That's a fight that easily could have just gained them 1 to 2 minutes, or maybe even opened the possibility of a first point hold.
Well, we mentioned that a Nano Blade could be the strategy they want to go for. The Blade does come up top, does get boosted over there. A Sound Barrier will do its best to keep people alive during that Shatter. Regardless, will find Buds, even though Shatter got very low. Dahang abused again by point.
They ignored Shatter into the back line and deep dove on the Dahang. They got rid of his source of support, and the Nanoblade itself did not get as much done as it usually does for Shatter. Still, though, the fight under contest. Fury throws in the self-destruct over the top, and the problem is that FNRGFE has really solidified here to some extent. Respawns are about to be coming in. I think Team Liquid probably has to give this one up.
I don't think they quite know that yet, though. They have 3 on the card, and Fury is doing his best to keep them in this. He will get yet another kill. As you mentioned, respawns are going to be in favor of FNRGFE as they come back in. Now, even all this delay, we have a full fight.
Look at how much Matt just blocked there with that move in from the defensive matrix. He was stopping about 3 people at the same time, gave plenty of room to Buds, and Buds is able to push people back. So I think you're right. Team Liquid didn't realize that that wasn't really in their advantage. I don't think they understood that you had respawns coming right back in, and now they just lost what could have been the potential for another push. Now they're potentially down to their last.
Very likely so. Dahang may be able to get there. You might be able to get another Nanoblade here, but it didn't work out first, but it is a strategy they've relied on before, should be going for again. Great positioning and spread so far, and a great reaction again by Matt to get in here. Sound Barrier off.
Sound Barrier is off. Shatter out for blood. The Nanoblade out here once more. Already grabs one early on, but stuck trying to find another and does not get Clockwork. He rewinds out, and the self-destruct hits its mark. Shatter just barely not out of that, and that's big for FNRGFE.
your Nano Blade has to get more than one. Maybe I'm stating the obvious here for everyone at home, but one kill on each of these last two Nano Blades, 2 ults for 1 kill. Not great desperation time as Fury tries to go in up top, but gets discorded and demeched. Gone. Victory Transcendence seems like what this is used for, just to make sure they captured this off. And Liquid does not seem like they're even going to get first on Gibraltar, a map that they have been great on.
This is the worst possible omen here for Team Liquid. They're trying to stay alive a little bit, Primal Rage towards the end, trying to keep the glimmer of hope up. And no, Soldier, you're not going to touch a payload for long.
Oh, try to bomb in there towards the end from Rafa. Does not work. They had a pretty decent opening. What went wrong there, ZP?
What went wrong there is that they weren't able to keep up the momentum. And what we saw from FNRGFE is that they were able to come back out, deal with the counter dive, get back onto a payload, and Respawns eventually push it out. The biggest thing is that when Shatter went in for that first Nano Blade, he didn't quite get enough, and FNRGFE was able to just dive to the back, get onto Hang, and reverse the momentum entirely.
Here's another self-destruct as we're going to see that the last remnants of a glowing Shatter do not get behind that door as he's taken out by Coolmat. For me, the silent MVP remains Boink for FNRGFE. You talk about that first Nano Blade, and a lot of the reason it didn't get worked on is a perfectly timed barrier that he got off.
Hex, oink, oink. We've seen a lot of Boink.
Oink, oink. Here comes the Boink. One of the best team names in Overwatch history. Unfortunately, not in this event, but I just want to see what the logo would have been.
Or any event ever, most likely.
Yeah,
but it would have been nice if FNRGFE made that their name. I would have loved that.
I mean, it shouldn't have been a hot dog. It should have been like some sort of pig character. That would have been a nice homage. Regardless, this is a pretty easy victory condition for FNRGFE. Get it to the first point of Gibraltar. And they will take a very swift 2-0 lead over Team Liquid.
I mean, my question here is that if you're Immortals, are you afraid that the speedrun record that you set earlier in the stream might get broken here from FNRGFE, who now might be well on their way to a very swift Watchpoint Gibraltar victory, which of course would put them up 2-0 here in the semifinal.
Right, and on their way to the final to meet Immortal would be FNRGFE. They've looked very good. Liquid has not really had the answer for it. I'm not entirely certain what the answer for it is. When you dive, FNRG just takes it as your bunting. They just pick it up and throw you out because they go right back to the supports.
Well, Hex, our very intelligent shamans say that dance moves might be the way. Team Liquid is dancing a lot in the back.
I mean, sometimes you just got to dance like no one's looking, ZP.
Who knows? Maybe no one was looking. Certainly.
No one's ever looking when I'm dancing, luckily.
Well, I mean, that's why people haven't gone blind.
Clockwork comes in over the top, does find that a Zenyatta is hanging out in there. Early on, they want to get a little bit of pressure, so it seems like both teams are trying the same defense. Liquid pulling back just a little bit so far, not being aggressive on it, so they wanted a little bit of poke, did not find what they were looking for. Late dive comes in over the top from Liquid, though.
Yeah, they're coming in over the top, and this is...
Well, I mean, Shatter already got Buds. He's going to chase the purple blue, and he's got Winston in his sights right there.
Yeah, Winston is in the sights, and...
Shatter so low.
Yep, Shatter under assault, does not get away, and that was just a rough position to be in anyways. Wasn't able to complete the wall climb all the way up, and FNRGFE rolling through Team Liquid like a knife through hot butter. Or is it hot? No, it's a hot knife through butter. Hot butter is just melty.
Well, I mean, I guess both would work. One seems way lazier than the other, personally.
I cannot be bothered to cut my butter. Please just melt it and then put it on my food. But Team Liquid not with a lot of room here. They're going to nano boost the Winston and come right out. Again, just desperately trying to buy any form of reprieve. There's a yellow box victory looming right behind them.
Well, Mezzer does get enough to poke them away. Matt is out of his suit, but, you know, that's usually not the end of Matt. Still dangerous when he's got the Bunny Blaster on him. A couple of kills come for Liquid. They could be able to stabilize here with 2.5 minutes left on the offense. Clockwork has done a ton of work for this team. He does not get the barrier, unfortunately, as the rest of his team does, but happy that he's just invisible at the back.
The rest of his team uses the barrier to reunite with Clockwork after the 3 seconds they were not together because they just rush right in. They take control of the payload, and Team Liquid, they need Shatter to have a miracle here. Come in with the huge Dragon Blade, because if he can't, this is likely going to be FNRGFE's point. Here comes Shatter. Last moment effort. Going to get nothing because of this Transcendence.
Fury remaxed, and that's why the self-destruct is going to come out. Does not necessarily get everything that they're looking for. It buys a little bit of time, but not quite enough. FNRGFE.
6'9".
6'9". 8675 309. Jenny, they are just dominating Liquid. Just dominating. There's no other way to say it. They just crushed them right there. Just to reiterate, Liquid was 5-1 in Gibraltar coming into this. It is their map. It was their pick. They had everyone, and everyone played really well. My boy Clockwork right here.
He can't even be bothered to set himself a play the game intro.
Don't you respect that in a way, though? Of all the players in the game intros we've seen, I kind of respect. He doesn't care. He doesn't care
I do
at
respect
all.
that a little bit. There is a friend of mine who, anytime he can play in an FPS game and equip skins, he always equips like the most common thing that a beginner would equip, just because he wants to enrage people when he actually beats them.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's why I try to pick yellow skins, especially when I'm playing certain hit skin players, when I really want to just put ZP on tilt. But anyway, moving straight along, I don't know how Fury got back in his mech there at the end, as a
it's
side
sloppy.
note.
Yeah.